up before we take our quiz. Number one. Okay, so this is what we have for number one, right? So this is starting as a power, yes? So we want to get the power. We want to get that exponent term all by itself. So it's this guy, right? What do I need to do? Oh, not yet. No. Add the 4. Uh-huh. So then that goes away, and then we have x minus 2 to the 4th power equals 16. Now I have my exponential term all by itself, right? Yeah. All right, how do I get rid of this power? Yeah, you take the root, but this is a 4th power, so you have to take the 4th root. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. But what does the 4th root mean? Plus or minus. Thank you, Jacob. So then on the left-hand side, that 4th root and that 4th power, they cancel out. So then you're left with x minus 2 equals plus or minus, what is the 4th root of 16? 2. Good. So I think a lot of you guys got, a little mixed up here because you forgot the plus or minus, right? You need to add the 2 to get the x all by itself. What did I tell you when you already have a plus or minus on the other side and you add or subtract something over? Where does this go? Good. It goes in front of the plus or minus. So you have x equals 2 plus 2 and 2 minus 2. So what are your two answers? 4 and 0. So x equals 0 and x equals 4. If your problem starts out as an exponent, you don't have to check each and every one of these, okay? I mean, you should check it just to make sure that it works. All right, but with the power ones, you don't have to. But you know what? Let's go over how to put these into the calculator, okay? So, yeah, so we need to check 0, and we need to check 4. So let's check 0 first. We'll say 0 store for x, right? So let my calculator do 0 store. Store is right above the on. Store it for x. And then I'm going to put in the whole left side, my equation. So x minus 2 in parentheses, right, to the 4th power. And then minus the 4. Oh, no. Yeah, okay. Equals 12, right? That works. You can do the same thing with 4. So 4 store for x. And then put that guy in again. And you get 12. Right? So both of these work. Just make sure on the quiz I said make sure you check. So just put a little check and write yes for both of them and we're good. Okay? Questions? Okay? Okay, now let's do number 2. Alright, so here's number 2. Oh no. Okay. So, what do I need to do first? Good, divide by 4. Then you have x cubed equals negative what? Good, negative 81. Alright, so you have a power. Right now it's x to the 3rd power. How do you get rid of that 3rd power? Good, you take the 3rd root. You take the cube root. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. Yes? So then this cube and that cube root and cube cancel out. What is the cube? First of all, do I need plus or minus? an odd root, right? What is the cube root of negative 81? Doesn't work, you get a decimal? Okay, if you get a decimal, I told you, you're going to have to break it down, right? So let's do that. Cube root of 81. This breaks down into what? 81 is what times what? Okay, so 3 times 27. Oh, you're right. It says negative 81. I didn't put the negative. It's fine, okay? I'm just going to put the negative on later. So 3 and 27, that works.
I did 9 times 9.
Sure, you could do that too. You should still get the same numbers at the end, okay? 27 is 3 times 9, right? So then now you have these 2 3s that come down, and then the 9 breaks down into 3 and 3. Yes? So you got this too, right? So for a cube root, how many of the same number do you need? 3. So it looks like I have 3 3s here. So this is 3 cube root 3. Yes? And that 81 is actually a negative, so that means the negative comes out, and this becomes a negative 3 cube root 3. Okay? So x equals negative 3 cube root 3. And you can check this, you can store this as well. But this started off being a power, right? This will work. Okay? Questions?
Wait, how did you
Negative, because inside it was a negative 81. Alright? Okay, so let's look at number 3. Alright, so here's number 3. Now, we're starting with a root this time, right? So the root ones, I'm telling myself, okay, I always need to check these, okay? So we want to get the root all by itself. In this case, this one is already all by itself, all right? So how do I get rid of that square root? Yeah, you take it to the power, right? Power of 2, because this was a square root. So whatever you do to one side, do to the other, always. All right, so then this square root and that square, they cancel out, and then you have 11x plus 26 equals x squared. Now, what do you think we're going to have to do with this? Good. Subtract everything on the left over to the right, because this is looking like a trinomial, right? And you have to make it equal to 0. Thank you. So subtract that 11x. And subtract the 26. Then you have 0 equals x squared minus 11x minus 26. Yeah? Now, how do I solve when I have a trinomial? Good. You have to AM factor this. Well, because it's a trinomial, right? So factor 2 numbers that multiply to give you negative 26 and adds to give you negative 11. What are they?
13 and
30.
crap.
All right. Good. Make sure that the bigger number gets a negative because your A number is a negative, right? So negative 13 and 2 adds to give me a negative 11. All right, and like I said before, you could do the bring down the first, bring down the last, and then do it the long way. But this is just the plain old x squared, so you could go straight into the shortcut. Double parentheses. You have x and x. X what, 13? Good. And x what, 2? Plus 2, right? And then I have these 2 factors, and they're both equal to 0. What do I need to do? Yeah, set them both equal to 0. Mini equations. Absolutely. X minus 13 equals 0, and x plus 2 equals 0. So I get two answers when I solve this. X equals what? Uh-huh. Okay, so x equals 13 and x equals negative 2. I like that. You absolutely need to solve or check these. Okay? So that means we need to plug it back in. If you look at your original equation, you have an x on both sides. Please make sure that your x's, that you see, you got to plug in the left side, and it has to equal whatever x it is that you plugged in. Does that make sense? So when we go to plug this in, we have the square root of 11x plus 26 equals x. All right, so if I were to do 13 stored for x, right, I need to make sure I put this into the calculator and I hit enter, and it equals the same as x. Well, this x would be 13, right? And then when I go to do negative 2 stored for x, I want to put the whole left side into the calculator, but I need to see if it also equals negative 2. No? No for what? Which one? For negative 2? Negative 2 doesn't work? Anybody else confirm that? Jacob? You didn't try it yet? Try it now. 13 stored for x? 13 works? So let's see, 13 store for x. Okay, hit enter. And then let's see, square root 11x plus 26. Let's see if that equals, not 266. Let's see if that equals 13. Yeah? 13 works. Does negative 2 work? And somebody was supposed to confirm this. Huh? It does? Wait a minute. So if I put this in, you get 2, but it should equal x, which is negative 2. So, okay. Don't let that mess you up. Just because it has the same number and not the same sign, well, they're two different numbers, right? It's 2, there's negative 2, right? So when I put this in, negative 2 does not work because it gives me a positive 2 and not negative 2, but 13 does work. So please make sure that you indicate on your quiz clearly, okay, which is and which is not a solution. All right? And that one was probably the most difficult problem you will get. Let's try number 4. I really like problems like number 4 because they actually look really crazy, but they're a lot easier. Okay? So number 4, if you have 2 roots, right? You should have one on the left side of your equal sign and one on the right side of the equal sign. Okay? This one, already done. Okay, it's good to go. So I'm going to look at this and it says 5th root. Well, how do you get rid of the 5th root? Do what? Yeah, take it to the power. What power? 5th power. Good. So I'm going to take this left-hand side to the 5th power. Whatever you do on the left, do to the right, okay? Then what happens to your roots and the powers? Yeah, they go away. Look at that. Nice and clean. Good. Subtract 2x. I mean, now you're just solving a regular linear equation. It's just what? Multi-step? Which is fine. Now what? Good. Subtract the 4. So negative 5 equals 4x. And then? Good. So you have x equals equals -5/4. But you definitely need to check because this started off being a radical. And if you go back and look at your problem, you have a variable on the left side and a variable on the right side. Please make sure you check both and that they equal each other. Does that make sense? So when I go to put in -5/4 store for x, I need to put in the left side. So put in fifth root 2x minus 1 and see what I get. Then I put in the right side. Fifth root 6x plus 4. And then I put that in, see if they equal each other. Okay? Do you guys remember how to put in the fifth root? They don't? They should. They should. Do you remember how to put in the fifth root? Yeah? So 5, math 5, right? So let's put this in. -5/4 store for x. Okay. It's really easy to mess up when you go to check. So just make sure you're plugging in what I'm putting in, okay? Alright? So control C, we're getting the same page, okay? And then I have to put in the fifth root, so this is 5. I have to go to math. And number 5 has a little x in front of the radical. That's the one I want, okay? So the first one is, oh, you have to put in parentheses. 2x minus 1. Yeah? Make sure you use parentheses. You got that one? Okay, let's try the other one. 5 math 5. What's that one? 6x plus 4. Oh no, I forgot the parentheses. Go? There. So they should equal each other, so I know that this is the answer because they equal each other. Make sure you put it in parentheses. We'll give you a different answer. So last step, just please make sure you put a check mark. You say yes. All right? Hello, Jarvis. Do you want to look at the review that we're all going to do? We're almost done with this one, but we're going to check one more. All right. So let's look at number 5. And then we'll look at number 6. So these are the easier ones. Alright, so I realized we did problems like number 5 a long time ago in Unit 2. Okay? So, what did you guys get when you tried this? You got 1? 1? 1? Wow, so you guys remember to put in the math number I part? Oh, you remember the 4? Good. How'd you get 1? Yeah? Good. So here's the thing. If you guys remembered it, great. It always worked. If you just didn't remember it, I'm going to show you a way to figure it out. All right? So, yeah, if you get the E thing, that's okay. I'm going to show you how to figure this out. So, what? What? Oh. Okay, so what you should do to just make it a little bit easier, you should go to math, you should go to number, and you should go to the third option that says I part. Okay. And then it's I to the 16. And then you get 1. But say I didn't remember that because there's so much to remember. And I just went to I to the 16th power. Well, I get this weird thing, right? That's okay. Show you how to figure all this out. Let's try another example too so that we have it ready. Can you give me a number, please? 1 digit. Jenny. 8. And Jason. Okay. 589. Alright? For that one? Huh? Okay. Let's do one more. Carlos, give me a number, please. Okay. Jose?
6.
Okay. Yes, Lee. All right. 669. I
Oh,
was like, don't say.
yes.
I was like, don't say the same. Okay.
I
didn't mean that.
I was going to say 6, but.
Oh, okay. All right. So, here's what we need to do. For the I to the 16th power, right? You guys see an E here. Yes? I'll make this one bigger and then I'll check it down. So, you see an E there, right? Right there? What is right next to the E? Huh? Well, negative what? Negative 4. And what else? Negative 13i. Isn't that right next to the E? And then that all goes away. What's left? 1. So I to the 16th is 1. Okay? So then how about I to the 669? Let's try that one. Get rid of this guy. Is it I? So here's my E, right? What's next to my E? And minus 11. So there we go. Yep, it is I. Good. So try this one. I to the 589th power. Is I? Yeah, because here's E. Here's what's right next to E, and there, and I. Good. Perfect. All right. So if you don't remember the I part, you know, all that, then you can do this. Okay. But if you don't remember this, not good. Try to remember that. All right. So now we're gonna factor. What's the first step in factoring? GCF. 125 and 8. Do they have a GCF? No, it's 1, right? So you have a binomial here, and when you factor it with 2 terms, a binomial, your only options are dose or SOAP, right? Aside from the GCF. So could this be dose? No, right? It cannot be dose because dose needs to be a subtract, 2 terms, and perfect squares, right? You can square root it and get a nice pretty number, non-decimal. But SOAP could be plus or minus. The biggest thing is that they're all perfect cubes. And that exponent right there, the 3, tells me that it's going to be a SOAP. All right? So this is a SOAP, and SOAP has that special situation, the 2 and the 3, right? Anyone remember how to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah? Good. So cube root, did you need to, you can ask Miss Sarkis to sign it for you. What is the cube root of 125 x cubed? 5 what? X. And then what's the cube root of 8? 2. Okay? So basically, you're working with these 2 terms. What goes in this first one? Sure as 10? Yeah, 25. Remember, you got to multiply the first one by itself. You know what you did is you added them. Don't add, you have to multiply. All right, and in the middle, what is it? 5x times 2, so it's 10x. And then what goes in this last one? Good, because it's 2 times 2. And that's the only combination you have left, right? Good. Same, opposite, and always plus. Good? Yeah? So I'll put up the homework answers, and I'll answer any questions on the homework. But basically, this is what your quiz looks like. This is a nice review for your quiz.